If you are on YouTube, we will just give maybe a few minutes so that more people can join. Welcome, sir. I can see you. So people keep coming and leaving. Anyways, um, it's going to be recorded anyway. So if you follow me on any of these platforms, you can easily go back and read up and watch the videos. It's going to be recorded fully. So today we decided to discuss about a topic that is the topic is as controversial as it is intriguing. We are looking at plant-based diet. There has been a lot of controversy around plant-based diet. A school of thought thinks that plant-based diet is very beneficial, should be followed to the nitty-gritty, should, it's becoming like a mantra among some people. A lot of people think that it is what is restoring us. They will even give you references from the Bible to say that man was not made to eat meat in the first place. But, well, that is still a very controversial aspect of it, though. So at this point, we would like to look at on this program, on this chat tonight, we are going to look at what plant-based diet could be and what it could mean to different people. And we are also going to look at what are the pros of plant-based diet. And we are going to also look at what are the cons of plant-based diet. So we are going to look at the pros first. The pros are the benefits that are occurring to plant-based diet lifestyle or whatever you may wish to call it. So starting from, we are going to start from the complex to the simplest. There is what is known as stem cell. Stem cell is the basic cell that forms the rest of our body. Okay, every human being started with a stem cell. So from that stem cell, other parts of your body is formed. So the stem cell, there is a stem cell, okay, after the division, there is a stem cell for the brain, there is a stem cell for the muscles, there is a stem cell for, for tissues and organs have their stem cells. So this stem cell, if you are a parent with a special need child, you must have come across a stem cell therapy, which involves bringing out the stem cell of the bone marrow and extracting it, then re-injecting it on the child so that it goes to the area of infirmity to produce a new cell, to regenerate and produce new cell. That is the science, the basic science behind stem cell. So because the knowledge is that stem cells can reproduce other cells where they are needed, where the new cells are needed. So based on this, we are looking at stem cell as something that is very beneficial for regeneration, because every day as we are living, as we are breathing, as we are eating, our parts of our bodies are dying and regenerating. Our cells are dying and regenerating. So these stem cells are very important for this regenerative process. And research has shown that plant-based diets can actually help to produce stem cell. A researcher was asking, why would you, okay, just for example, for you to get these stem cells, say for instance, there is a company offering it, Neurogen is offering it in India. For you to get it, you are going to spend almost like $12,000 for one process, and you are supposed to do the process like 3 times. And this is how expensive it can be. And this $12,000, you've not counted your flight tickets, you've not counted the accommodation, you've not counted, the inconveniences and every other thing that comes with it. On this note, we can see that getting stem cell is a very, very expensive process. But research is showing that plant-based diets can actually reproduce stem cells in the human body. It is showing that dark chocolate, like raw chocolate, is not like the one you drink in your beverages. The raw chocolate is usually very dark and sometimes bitter, actually bitter. So a lot of people may not want to take it as it is. But if you have chocolate that is 70% chocolate, up to 70% chocolate, research is saying that this kind of chocolate can actually regenerate stem cells. Yes, we have known that children on the spectrum, forgive me if I keep talking about children on the spectrum, we all know that children on the spectrum do benefit from chocolate, but initially it was thought that it is as a result of its antioxidant property. But today, research is showing that aside the antioxidant property, that this chocolate can actually help the body to produce stem cells. So that is just one of the pros. That is one benefit of chocolate, for instance, which is a plant. This same chocolate is known to increase blood flow. Another research has shown that diseases like memory loss can be as a result of reduced blood flow. So when your blood flow is not very smooth, it cannot just lead to heart attack or other cardiovascular diseases. It can actually lead to memory loss, because it is the flow of blood to the brain that provides the oxygen with which the brain functions. So if the blood flow is not efficient, one can begin to suffer from mentally related illnesses. Again, going back to parents of children with neurodevelopmental delays, there was a time a certain therapy suggested that occasionally you can raise your child up on the feet so that blood can actually flow very well to the brain and supply the brain oxygen, because a school of thought believes that autism could be caused by lack of oxygen in the brain of the child. So now tonight we are saying that dark chocolate can produce stem cells in the body, and it can also support blood flow, which can, if it is not functional, can actually lead to memory loss. Another plant that is also known to be very beneficial to the body in terms of the production of stem cell is the black tea. As at 2015, the study that was on board was indicating that the green tea is superior to black tea. It is the same leaves but the difference is that the green tea is freshly kind of prepared, while the black tea is usually fermented. So through the fermentation, a lot of things actually, get modified. And people thought that green tea was superior to black tea. But a recent study is showing that black tea actually helps the body to produce stem cells. Of course, in nutrition, as much as you learn good things, don't overdo it. It's always, the preaching is always around moderation. So black tea helps the body to produce stem cell. The dark chocolate of about 70% helps the body to produce stem cell. In addition to that, black chocolate also helps the body to have a smoother blood flow. So, and all of these are foods of plant origin. Now, in 2022, a group of scientists conducted a research on men that consume Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is basically plant-based, but they also are high on fat. Not high, but considerably good amount of fat. So the men were followed for years, and it was observed that men that drink about 2 to 3 cups of tomato sauce for in a week were found to be less prone to prostate cancer. So it's almost like a common knowledge that prostate can be prevented, managed, or you know managed, because you can't say it will cure it. That prostate could be prevented or managed using a certain nutrient that is present in tomatoes. So men are usually encouraged to do a lot of tomatoes in their diet. Now, these are like the major ones, but there are still other benefits that can be derived from plant-based diet. If we watch our plants, every one of them has a peculiar color. Every one of them has a peculiar scent. Every one of them has a peculiar, physiology, the things, component. So on creation, just like God gave us instincts, there are things that were put in plants that help them to fend for themselves. Let's forget that we want to do all the anti-bug and anti-everything on the plant. They have capacity to fend for themselves. And these capacities were in terms of antibacterial. Some plants actually have the capacity to fend off attackers in terms of animal insects. Some plants have the capacity to stop inflammation. Some plants have the capacity to stop aging. Some plants there are lots and lots of capacities that were put in the plant, which research is already showing that when consumed, those features can be replicated in the human body. Today, we now know that things like cloves and their likes can actually improve on people's aging, and that is based on their antioxidant property. In the table of things, clove is like number one in all the antioxidants. There's what we call ORAC, oxygen radical AC. I can't remember the AC, sorry. So, but we call it ORAC value. ORAC value is the extent to which a plant can mop up oxygen. So, can provide oxygen. So, clove, which is a plant, we all know. If you don't know clove is that thing they usually put in zobo to give it that zobo flavor and aroma. So clove is known to be the highest oxygen radical scavenging plant. At the end of the day, it is a plant. Now, that is just one function. But where I was moving to was in terms of phytochemicals. I was explaining that each plant has a feature which was put into it with which to fend for itself. And these features are known as phytochemicals. These phytochemicals, like I've mentioned before, when consumed with by humans, are known to reproduce the same functionalities in humans. So plants that have the ability to ward off microbes when given to humans can become an sorry, can sorry, I was just thinking. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's saying I'm talking too much, maybe. So plants that have the ability to ward off microbes can become antimicrobial. We have things like oregano. Oregano is a kind of spice. You could use it to cook food. You can use it to make tea. In fact, it has a very strong, nice aroma. It is antiviral. Till date, is the strongest antiviral plant. So oregano, for instance, has that ability to ward off insects and infections. And then that is why people now use it as antimicrobial product. So all of this. And then going back to the other phytochemicals, each plant has a color. So there are different functions that different colors of plants perform. And that is what we finally call the phytochemicals. Each color of a plant has a different function. I actually have that table somewhere on my page where we say that the purple ones, the orange ones, the white ones, the green ones. So each of the color represents a function. Sorry, I don't have it off my hands, off the tips of my hand, but each color of a plant represents a certain function, which is as a result of its phytochemical. So in other words, these phytochemicals have these functions. We have the anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. Yes, there are some plants that are actually anti-cancer. We have antimicrobial, we have anti-aging, anti-cancer, antiviral, things like garlic, they are the antiviral, the antioxidants, the anti-inflammatory. So all of these are functions that are performed by plants by virtue of the phytochemicals. But there is also one aspect of our health that is very, very important that the plants actually provides. And this is the aspect of microbial diversity. A lot of times we've talked about microbiome. Those that know me will know that I wouldn't say much without referring to microbiome. So this microbiome is simply a collection of microorganisms that are residing within and outside our body. And we can get these microbiomes by virtue of what we interact with, either in our environment or our food, or even any other thing that we interact with. On this note now, how does plants provide us with rich microbiome? We know that the plants are growing we know that the plants are growing in the outside, inside the farms, in the bushes. So each of these plants are gathering life microbes as they are growing. I like to use cabbage, for instance. If you see cabbage in a garden, the cabbage usually uh Ben Ofura, I'm trying to add you. I don't know why it's not coming. The cabbage usually comes as leaves open like this, but as they grow and mature, they start coming together and holding each other. So I have not seen anybody that when they want to eat cabbage, they will be opening it one by one to wash off. No, you don't do that. So at the end of the day, the cabbage is really rich in microbial population. Now, that is why when you have travelers diarrhea, when you have things like H. pylori, which can generate to ulcer, it is usually advised that you drink cabbage water. Aside the chemicals that are in it, it is also a very rich source of probiotics. So this is just like one of the plants that we know that is helping us a lot in repopulating our microbiome. So by the time we are consuming plant-based products, we are enriching our microbiome, increasing the number of microbes that are in our body. And being that they are coming from edible sources, those microorganisms are also known to be of beneficial species. Another thing is that it has been shown that when you check a person's microbiome, that person's microbiome is usually made up of the kind of food they eat. So if you are somebody that eats mostly carrot and maybe cabbage, your microbiome will be different from somebody that eats mostly eba soup. Not because we would say that your own anybody's own is healthier at this point, but we are only saying that the population of microbes in your body is usually determined by the kind of food you eat. And in a different lecture, we have explained extensively how beneficial these microbes can be. That was our last webinar. If you were not there, you can go there and take a look. Just a recap, we said that this microbiome helps us to synthesize vitamins, very important vitamins, vitamins like vitamin K, which is beneficial for blood clotting, vitamins like vitamin Bs, which is beneficial for brain function, serotonin, which is beneficial for good mood, good state of mind. You know, it has a lot of benefits. It helps to protect the body from negative activities of the bad microbes. So at the end of the day, plant-based diets are providing us with a variety of microorganisms that are beneficial to our body, which otherwise you may not just get from anywhere. That is why, aside the fear for chemicals these days, when we were younger, in the back in the days, people could just pick fruits and eat. Washing was not a big deal. Washing fruits was not such a big deal. And if you notice, people were like much healthier because the microbes in those fruits are actually going into their system and performing wonderful functions. So fruits and vegetables are like a store of microbes, and that is also the basis of what we call sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is just a very beneficial health product that you can do in your house. We basically just extract the starch in the vegetables and allow the microbes that are present in the vegetables to ferment them, and they will become many, so that when we drink it, we are drinking plenty microorganisms. So plant is now seen as one that provides us with that function. So tonight we have spoken about we are still talking about pros, and we have said that dark chocolate, which is a plant, helps the body to produce stem cells. That if you take dark chocolate of about 70%, your stem cell will double. That dark chocolate also helps the body to have the blood flow to be very smooth. It helps to let the body to the blood to flow smoother. And research has shown that when the blood is not flowing smoothly, it could be a cause of memory loss. So these things go very long way. We have also talked about black tea being very beneficial for stem cell regeneration, reproduction. So this is just a recap. We have also talked about prostrate, which can be prevented a research showing that men that drank 2 to 3 cups of tomato sauce in a week were less prone to developing prostate-related illnesses. And we've talked about phytonutrients that are present in the plants, which supports human health extensively. And we've talked about microbial diversity, that the more plants you eat, the more diverse your microbiome will become. And there is also nutrient diversity. We have come to realize that no one plant is the same, even if they were in the same group. In the same group, we mean like if even if they are still grains, one cannot be like the other. Each of them have a peculiar composition. So you see that by eating, there is a food we prepare in our village that is made with corn, beans, the green. Sometimes you add pumpkin, you add oil bean seed, you add red oil, you add pepper, salt, onion. Everything I've counted here, there is nothing that is animal protein. There is nothing that is animal protein in that food. But I must tell you, one of my course coordinators joined us. I don't know if she has left. Catherine, thank you for coming. During my studies, I did my research. I did my research on oil bean seed. I was looking at the changes in the nutritional composition during processing. So, but the peculiar thing about that is that what I found out is that that plant, which is not usually very popular, if you know it, if you are in Nigeria, it's the same plant we use in making ugba. We use it in making nkwobi. We add it in abacha. We call it akpaka. So that plant has as much protein as animal protein, although not complete. That's nitrogen content is as much as that of meat. But it is a plant protein and it has its own cons. We are going to talk about the cons. We are still talking about the pros. So we are looking at nutrient diversity. The grains in this food I just mentioned contain different sets of nutrients from the cereals. The cereals contain different set of nutrients from the vegetables. The vegetables contain different set of nutrients from the legumes, because that akpaka is a legume. The legumes contain different set of nutrients from the fat and oil. You know, the fat and oil is the palm oil. They contain this different set of nutrients from the onions. They contain different set of nutrients from the salt. You know, every single thing in that pot is a plant, but by the time you look through it, it is purely a balanced diet. It is balanced because when we talk about nutrient diversity, you can combine two plant protein to produce a complete protein. A complete protein is simply a protein that has all the essential amino acids. So by the time you combine a cereal and a grain, let's say you are eating rice and beans, you are as good as somebody that is eating rice and meat, because in rice you are complementing the protein that is lacking in beans. So if you eat both of them, you are eating what we call a diverse diet. And in nutrition, diversity is like number one. In diversity, you approach completeness. It is only diversity that can assure you completeness. In diversity, we are talking about eating different things from different classes at the same time. So in plant-based diet, we are more inclined to having a more diverse diet than when you are just eating any other kind of diet. So at the end of the day, we have seen that plant-based diet is a very commendable type of diet. As a nutritionist, and maybe most importantly because of the population I work with, I'm not always very strict about a particular type of diet, but I am here highlighting the pros of a plant-based diet, which we all see that they are enormous. So everyone, as much as possible, the target is to make your plate as colorful as ever. You could have orange, green, purple, yellow, brown, anything together in your plate makes for a very good addition to your nutritional profile. So at this point, we will talk about the cons. The cons of plant-based diet. When we talked about grains and cereals, and even legumes, like the one that I said I researched with, there is something very peculiar with every one of them. They contain a substance that is not a substance, they contain substances that are known as anti-nutritional factors. These anti-nutritional factors can be tannins, they could be phenols, they could be, yeah, tannins and phenols are the most peculiar one. Parents of children with developmental delays that are pursuing nutritional intervention will also have known about oxalates. So oxalates, tannins, phenols, even though phenol is argued to be of good benefit, they are all classified as anti-nutritional factors. So these factors are naturally present in plants. So by consumption of plant-based diet, you should be very much aware of this and how to get rid of them, or at least reduce their effect in your food for you to benefit fully from their nutrients. And do you know the bad part of it is that they tend to cling to the basic nutrients that are most essential for the growth and development of these children, of our children, and they are iron and zinc. They reduce the bioavailability of iron and zinc. So what they do is that they get themselves attached to nutrients so that when you eat those nutrients, your body, they are not available for your body to absorb them. These nutrients are now lost to defecation and excretion. By so doing, you are losing your nutrients, and that is not your fault. On this note, we are saying that if you have decided to take on a plant-based diet, it's important that you take note of the things you have to do to optimize your diet as a plant-based diet practitioner. So, what do we do? You might be asking. You could, some of them, something like the akpaka I mentioned before. Somehow our parents, our olden days parents, knew that there was something wrong. So they do what we call fermentation. This akpaka, me, if I enter market, I will know the one that is fermented and the one that is not fermented. So by fermentation, what happens is that those bonds between the anti-nutritional factors and the nutrients are broken. So the nutrients will now be available for the body to pick up when you eat it. But if it is not fermented, you are losing those nutrients. And that is why I think that our older people started fermenting things like pap. The pap they give our children were fermented. And that fermentation process is what removes that anti-nutritional factor from that food. But you are going to ask me, it is not all the foods that undergo fermentation before consumption. Yes, we know that. And that is why we advise you that something like your beans, before you eat your beans, it is advisable that you soak it in water at least 10 hours. Some people choose to do 24, but at least 10 hours. So we suggest, okay, for the purpose of household, if you're going to eat the beans in the morning, you soak it yesterday evening. But if you're going to eat the beans at night, you soak it in the morning. Just as soon as you wake up, you soak the beans you're going to use for the night. Because the fermentation process is a process that helps the breakage of the bond between the nutrients, the real nutrients, and the anti-nutritional factors. So that anti-nutritional factor is one of the cons of being eating plant-based diet as a major source of nutrients. And there is also the issue of incomplete protein. Incidentally, the body needs the complete protein to flourish. So no plant at all can provide you all the 9 essential amino acids. We have only some foods that we call superfood, which is soy. Soy is a superfood. And locally, there is also fonio. Fonio or acha is also a superfood. And the only reason they are called superfood is because they provide as much as 8 amino acids. They are as close as possible to animal protein. Their protein content is as close as possible to animal protein. And that is why they are known as superfoods. So these two foods are the only food products. Maybe there are more now. I don't know everything. But this is what I know, that these two foods are food products that can bring you anything as close as possible to protein content that you can get from animal products. And it has also been observed that when you eat a lot of plant protein, you tend to lack certain nutrients. There is iron. Iron is an important component of our blood. It is only iron that carries oxygen and transports. I did anatomy and physiology, but they are no longer in here. So iron helps the body to transport protein, to transport oxygen. But the only iron that is easily used by your body can only be found in animal protein, in animal blood. We call it heme iron. So non-heme iron is something that is not very much available for use when you consume them. And even it's not just any animal, it's only in red meat. I remember when we arrived to study, uh, we descended on chicken, not because we didn't have option, but red meat was not a thing. In that country, they eat a lot of pork. And we now, coming from where we were coming, we were not so conversant with pork. So we descended on chicken. We eat chicken. And within 3 months, if you look at your finger, you'll be white. Your eyes will be white. Everything, you go pale. It's as if you're getting anemic. But that is because we were not eating any red meat. So if you're on a plant-based diet, these are the dangers you need to watch out for. There is also the case of vitamin B12. People that are really out to practice plant-based diet is advised that every interval, I think 6 months or 4 months, you get yourself a vitamin B12 injection. Why injection? Because vitamin B12 can be easily destroyed by the stomach acid when you take it as a tablet. And so it's either injection or lozenges. I don't know how to say it perfectly, but the lozenges is usually put under the tongue. Yes, Oyinda, you agree with me. So the lozenges, you put it under the tongue, and it is known that under the tongue there is a direct um connection from the tongue to your bloodstream that doesn't pass through the stomach acid. So any medication that you feel could be destroyed by stomach acid, it's always advisable that you buy the one that melts under the tongue. And when they say under the tongue, know that it should be under the tongue. They didn't make mistake. Well, that's another area I'm talking. So these are just like few of the cons of using a plant-based diet. As a nutritionist, like I said, I'm always preaching diversity. Diversity in the sense that there are things you can get here and you cannot get here. So by the time you put it up, you pick up here and pick up here, you can balance it. And balancing is like the target of every one of us, whether balancing in emotions, balancing in nutrients, balancing in state of health. Balance is something we all target in our lives, in several areas of our lives, financially, physically, emotionally. So tonight we have exhausted, well, we may not have exhausted, but from my angle, I've been able to put out what I have for you, which is the pros of using plant-based diets as a means of management of health. And then there is also the cons of using plant-based diets as a means of management of health. Normally, I practice individualized nutrition. I am a bio-individual nutritionist. In my practice, what we do is that we take medical tests. We test individuals and know what their body can or cannot tolerate, not just food allergy. We have the organic acid test, which tells us a lot of things about you, which cannot be seen with the naked eyes, if we say that. Because there are things that go on inside of us that may be as a result of inborn errors of metabolism. It could be as a result of activities that are happening in your body. So that organic acid test is identifying all the organic acids present in your system, which are as a result of your functionality. At the end of the day, with that organic acid test, with toxicity test, with food allergy test, with lots of tests, we can usually make an inference and say, look, this is what you can have, or this is what you cannot have. At the end of the day, like I'm saying now, everyone is an individual. You have to listen to your body, most importantly. We learn a lot when it comes to nutrition. There are lots of teachings out there. We try to abide by the scientific standards, but at the end of the day, your body is like the most important person you need to listen to. There are people that if they go off plant-based diets, they become healthier. There are people that if they go only on plant-based diet, they become sicker. Like me, I was becoming anemic when I was eating just chicken. Some people don't mind. Some people can eat only chicken for one whole year. It won't happen. It won't hold them any, do them any harm. There are also people who just want to do plant-based diets, but they decide to eat only eggs, to just add eggs to it. There are people who also decide to go and add only chicken. A lot of people practice a lot of things, but it is my duty to make it known to you. These are things you may gain, these are things you may lose. You make your choice at the end of the day. Or if you come to me professionally, I will support you to make the choice and let you know what you can, what you will have that will make you better, or what you will have that may not make you better, because I cannot decide for you what you can or cannot have. Yeah, it's been a wonderful evening for me. I saw my course coordinator, my lecturer on my live program. Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you so much, Mrs. Akonde. I am so glad you all made out time to join. Thank you, every one of you that are on the YouTube, every one of you that are on Instagram. Oyinda, Moon NN. Thank you so much. I saw all of you, and I hope we join hands together to continue to preach good health for ourselves, but most importantly for our children. If you don't know us, we are Brain Foods. We provide services for families. Even though we call ourselves autism nutritionists, we still trained as nutritionists. We support families, especially even if you don't have children on the spectrum. You need to grow healthy children, both physically and mentally. Basically, we support people to have brighter mind. We work on the principle of that what you eat affects what happens in your brain. So every one of us can benefit from what we do. If you need to draw plans for your family as a mother, you don't know what to cook today, tomorrow, next tomorrow, we are willing to help. But we are most delighted when it is about a child who needs the supports, critically. We are delighted to support. At Brain Foods, we will provide you with your meal plan and take a walk with you to actualize it. And we will also provide you with the lectures and how to go about it. We will take your hands. Joy Oluchi, thank you. And we also do teachings like this. You can call us to offer lectures for your audience. From time to time, we go out and do this. If you have an organization or an institution, we can help you to train people in your organization. Very soon, we are rolling out our coaching um, package where we will take on a few people and really coach them on how to apply holistic nutrition for good health. We are looking forward to having institutions that will train 3 or 4 people, so they will be the ones supporting everyone that come to that institution. We are also looking forward to training parents. We are looking forward to training young people who are expecting to have babies, because you have to prepare your body for you to be able to have a healthy baby. Most times, before you know you are pregnant, your baby is already formed. Before 3 months, the baby is completely formed. Every other thing you are doing after 3 months is just for growth. Aside that, by 3 months that you go and start antenatal, the baby is completely formed. So we train parents to learn how to prepare their body to receive a healthy child. All of this, and we also do medical tests. We have collaborations with laboratories both in locally in Nigeria and internationally in the United States of America. You don't have to go there to do the test. We facilitate your sample collection and we send it over there. They test and send us the report. All of this we do to support people to live healthier, promising, and especially for children with neurodevelopmental delays to attain their highest potentials in life. And I thank all of you that come out to be a part of this crusade, as I would call it. Let us make them and make our children better people today and tomorrow. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you.